Hello,
Yeah,
everyone! Yes, finally again, the Despise Girls session.
finally. Let me see if I can get
Oh,
better
that's so
connection.
great because now we're here. It's me and Amelia now today because that cannot make it for today. But there has been, I also haven't been able to come to the Despise Girls session for the past, I think, two session. No,
It's been a
Amelia.
while. Why?
Exactly, for the three of us to be here together, that is like very very difficult because it's getting busy.
It is. That
So
said
what
to
do you have? Oh, what
that
what?
had said 2023 was gonna be the years on steroids. And she was totally right.
Oh yeah, I think that we discussed it during the first like January, I think, in our session in January about how 2023 is the year of steroids. And then there's
Yes,
so many things going on, so many meetings, yeah.
it
Hmm.
was looking tight and it's just insane.
I can imagine. So maybe I want to list it, but actually what has been happening.
No,
No, don't
we've
listen.
been meeting for 3 sessions, so we need to hear all about you.
Oh, you need to hear all about me. What do
Yes.
you want to hear about me?
What have you been doing? So I hear the Asia Pacific Regional Forum on Sustainable Development just happened a couple of weeks ago, no?
Yeah, no. Regional Forum on Sustainable Development is
Come on.
on March, which is like 2 months
Yes,
ago.
here
Yes,
in
yes.
CSW.
Yeah. So there are few things that happened since we last met. I think that the last one that we had a meeting and
Was in
then the
Christmas.
Spice Girl session on February 24. I remember it clearly,
Oh,
you know. It was with Nandini, and then we talk about digitalization also, and then it was such an amazing. Yes, that was the last time when I was there, right? And then I remember that we have a launching for our new video, and then you and Tet, you have this International Women's Day special session without me.
yeah, we were in. Well, she was in Doha and I was here in Mexico getting ready for the FFD.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That time I couldn't make it because I was on the street in Chiang Mai, actually
Yes,
doing the Women's International Women's Right Day rally. I couldn't make
tell
it
us
that time.
about it because you've been organizing these rallies for a while. Like, you really want to organize a women's strike for
Yeah.
years.
Yes. We did. We actually launched the women's strike in 2020. We managed to also get a lot of people who join in. The thing is, when we are trying to do that, the COVID happened and hit. And then, the plan for having it, really on the street is not possible at all, right? So yeah, we managed to actually get some online rally and etc., but it was not the same. So it was exciting that last time into back in March, we managed to have our first rally again for so long in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So it's so nice, right? And then it was a great time. All the movement in Chiang Mai join in hand, and then we do like a lot of chanting, a lot of rally, and then we have like some statement that was being also we drafted together, and then we share it and etc. So that was what happened in March for
Nice.
the International Women's Day. And then there was also this I joining the People's Forum for the
Yes.
sustainable development goals. That's another thing, right? And then, as you know, probably everyone who are following the SDG process, there is an HLPF, the High Level Political Forum, which is usually happen in July, next July. And then they usually also have the regional forum one, which happened in March, right? And then Asia Pacific also had one. So we had a People's Forum. It was great because that's the first People's Forum, physical People's Forum again after 3 years. We have
Nice.
like, yes, we have 120 participants together in one room, and then we collated our position, and then the name of the People's Forum, the title is Change the System, Shift the Power. It's like a paragraph, actually. It's like a paragraph, just like HLPF team, from your team. Listen to this. It's change the system, comma, shift the power, colon, right? Challenging challenging imperialism and corporate power in the
I love
2030
it.
agenda process. Yeah, so that's what
Love
happened.
it.
A
We're getting
paragraph.
more ambitious as the time passes by.
But that become our slogan, change the system, shift the power, shift the power, change the system. So it was good. It was good. Yeah, and
Nice.
then after that, yeah, after the People's Forum, there's an high level political. Sorry, at PFSD, not yet high level political forum. We have it just back to back with the People's Forum. It was an okay meeting. I think that in general, I think that a lot of even people in ASCAP feeling quite pessimistic about SDG,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then I think that we discussed it so much. I think that yeah, so that was like a very there was a quite a robust discussion about what needs to be done and how we accelerate and etc. etc. And then there was some process where we can actually give inputs to the discussion, so it was okay. Yeah, and then that's I think the whole thing,
China,
like
the,
hmm,
the SDGs are getting tired. No,
what?
the
What?
SDGs are getting tired.
SDGs are getting tired. So that's why this is what we've been discussing, right? I think that we really need to find ways to, because we're getting tired, and then now suddenly we don't know, it's half of the, we will have like, what do you call it, are we going to have a new development goals, what's going to happen the next, and then yeah, so that is like, yeah, we couldn't even understand like what's going to happen after 2030, right? And then also, even in the People's Forum, you are thinking that we really need to expand from engaging with this kind of UN process or SDG process. It needs to be more than this, right? What is actually our action to say that the urgency to change the system, like what we are wanted, right? So there is a discussion that going on in the Asia Pacific civil society. uh, I mean, like, what kind of campaign that we're going to have? We want to mobilize more action. We want to do
Yes.
more rally. So, yeah.
Yes, because I think also the disappointment with the SDGs, which it started from the start when the elimination of concentration and poverty was left out of the agenda, and then of course many barriers, and now HLPF, the High Level Political Forum, is non-binding, so there's really no reporting, no monitoring, no nothing, and everything is loose. So I really feel that we shouldn't keep on paying so much attention to the 2030 agenda anymore, honestly.
I understand. Although must say, Amelia, it has some merit in putting together movements, right? Like in one process. Yeah. So for instance, like for me, like the whole point of it's not the necessarily the SDG, but how is actually that process is can make we coordinate more
Yeah,
movement, cross movement learning, cross movement collaboration together.
yeah.
So that's why I think that's the thing that I feel it still has some merit. The People's Forum is the one
So
that I'm.
excited about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. But if Guterres wants to launch another pack of SDGs for the next 25 years, that would be so disappointing. It's like we started this in 20,000 and now nothing is changing because the approach is not changing because the system is not changing. So it's just ridiculous. and
That's
so
true.
much investment on this. No, I'm not saying private investment. I'm saying investment, political investment, and
Time. Yeah.
yes, from everybody. And the focus on economic growth in the middle of the SDGs is really disappointing because it turns out in the end they kept on saying, decision makers kept saying that it was a balance between the economic, the social, and environmental, and it turns out everything was done to push the economic agenda at the forefront, and the rest was just shadows and words.
Yeah, exactly. 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 But then, like, yeah, this is what we also kind of, wonder, right? Like, what will be the strategic spaces then, Because everybody felt the same, Amelia. I mean, like, everybody, like people who are been doing the SDG process, and then we were quite maybe excited at the very beginning, right? And then, yeah, we have the goal 10. We can actually have to look into the inequality between and within countries. It is, there are, and then you were there, I was there. We were like pushing for decent work and living wage. We were pushing for goal 10. We were pushing for goal 17, but then there's no progress, right? So what will be the other strategic spaces in the UN? That is my big question, actually. And then aside from the UN, what do we need to do, right? So that is that.
Well,
Like,
I'm always hopeful about my campaign of campaigns because it has all of the elements that need to be followed. And we ran out of funding, but hopefully we'll get another one. If there's any donor listening to us, it's time to fund the campaign of campaign. But really, it's about all of these points of entry, right? Like trade, tax, debt, monitoring, private finance, the banking sector, all of those components, the digital and the technologies agenda, including intellectual property rights, etc. So all of those come in a package, but bearing in mind human rights, gender equality, of course, environmental integrity with a decolonial lens. So those are, to me, the elements, and the UN should be at the forefront of those fights. It's not. So, but we need to keep on pushing for it because the outside world is a circus as well.
yeah, I totally agree. And then also, like updating ourselves about the issues. I mean, like for now, like for instance, for us in Asia Pacific, we've been trying to do a lot of learning exchange, learning process, different constituency to really update ourselves with so many things that new, new concepts, new call, new demands, and then how we can support each other. I think that's very, very important, right? So yeah, for us, it's a lot of convenings, meetings, research work. Uh, it's also important, and then more radical in our messaging. No,
Yes, for
that's
sure.
very important. Yeah.
Yes, I can't stand my positioning. But let me tell you, no, finish what. So then, what happened in April? That was
What?
March,
Sorry.
and
That
what
was
happened?
March. That was March. And April for me, I think that most of it, for me, yeah, I will ask
Yeah,
you
yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
have a lot. And then if that is here, oh my God, that will be a lot. For April, I think for April, for me, that is this is also the one that we are doing, is that we are trying to come up with understanding on and building the tools for feminist women human rights impact assessment. So right now, we are working together with our ally, them, CESR, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah,
yes, yes. So we
yeah,
collaborate very closely.
yeah.
Yes, and then yeah, so it's amazing that some of the CSR came to Chiang Mai, and then we are discussing about if we're going to have a woman human rights impact assessment for development projects and also economic policies, what will it look like, right? and then that is actually really able, we can say that it can also be owned by the community, meaning that it's participatory, inclusive with the community, and etc. So we came together. There are a lot of our Asia Pacific movement who've done a lot of development project monitoring, like hydropower dam monitoring, like geothermal energy monitoring, that the one
Wow.
that funded by ADB. So we came together, and then we discussed like what we have been doing. We sharing tools and exchanging tools. And then the second day we were like, okay, if we want to make this one tool that we can use together, getting from the best practice from everyone else, right? What will it look like? Yeah. So it's amazing.
So it is
And
a tool to analyze situations on the ground, like at
yes.
territorial level.
Yes, using human rights based approach, and then how to use human rights language also in our documentation and our reporting, right? So we can
Like
actually push it to the UN, right? And then to
human
seek
rights
for
rapporteur.
what? Sorry.
I mean, this could be a good tool for engaging with the human rights rapporteurs.
Exactly,
Hmm.
right? And then also to really engaging with the rapporteur, we can actually do something during the UPR, like with all
Yeah.
that documentation, right? So that is what we are trying to do now. And then it was great. And then the next pilot that we're going to have, we're probably going to have it in one of the Green Climate Fund project. I love it. The
Very
GCF project in Thailand. So we're going to probably monitor that project and then see, you know. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I haven't been able to go out, engaging in different processes and forums, but try to find ways to have that kind of learning, and then building tools and resources, building knowledge so that can be used by the movement. So yeah, but I miss it. I miss actually being in the space with both of you.
When is your next international meeting?
The next you mean like the forums, like the UN forums and etc. I might go to HLPF, but I don't know, right? Yeah, so that will be the next one. Emilia, I hope you're going to be there.
I hope so too. I mean, there are so many things happening in July.
So tell
But
me about you.
so I was gonna say, remember when we were saying just some minutes ago that about the processes that are on the outside, that are on the outside of the United Nations. So, but those are illegitimate processes. So when it's about how to staying aware of what is happening on the outside, but at the same time, how we can push for a shift towards the United Nations, and at the same time, how to we can shift the United Nations. So it has been super hard because what happened in at the beginning of April was the C7 Summit, which is the civil society group that is monitoring
The
the
G7.
G7 group,
Mm.
which is composed of the wealthiest countries in the world and that are making any sort of disgusting decisions without consulting everyone, without being democratic in their decision making, and impacting everyone at the same time, and just to ensure their vested interests are at the heart of the decisions. So the C7 is the civil society that monitors the G7. And up to recent times, it has been composed only by civil society from the global north because of the seven countries are based in the global north. So it's been seven civil society from those seven countries. And therefore, some of them don't get insulted, people. Some of them are cheerleading the G7 countries because they insist that, oh, you are the powerful, so you must be the leaders. You must guide us, guide the rest of the world. You must lead by example. So, or there are some conflicts, and you must come and save the process, and you must save the people. So it's really nasty. Some colleagues are more critical, but then they're still focusing on what is happening in the global north, like, oh yeah, we need to make a green transition, or what is happening in Ukraine and what is happening with the migration. But they're still very much focused on what's happening in the global north without really understanding how those decision making are impacting the rest of the world, and especially the global south, and especially undermining the global financial architecture. So it has been really hard. And in the last year, some global south people were invited to the steering group of the C7 so that we could try to bring more radical messages. And that's where many people, not many, but some of us came to the sphere, and is Derege uh, from the Global Alliance on Tax Justice, Patricia Miranda with Latin Dad, etc. So Harjit with Can International, and this year it became even stronger. So now we have also Net Daniel with ETC and stuff. So it has become increasingly powerful, the voice of the Global South. So Equidad is there, I'm there. And so we went to Japan this year. It was only 4 days. It was super sad because we were in Tokyo and I really wanted to be more time. I love your region, but it was only 4 days locked in the hotel, and then to the meetings, and then back. We met with the Japanese Prime Minister, but I want to share this situation. So the Japanese civil society is more on the conservative side. I mean, they're getting there. There are people who are very critical, but overall, mobilizing Japanese civil society is very hard on many issues. So it was uncertain what type of impact the C7 was gonna have, and it was amazing, Rina, because you know what is an issue that is really strong in Japan: the agenda on the fight against nuclear energy, precisely because of their lived experiences. So it turns out, France is such a king of the nuclear energy, and they're pushing everywhere. And you remember in the Paris Agreement, France was trying to, and they deleted the term in the discussion of the energy segment in the Paris Agreement. France was one of the countries that removed the term safe when you were defining what type of a technology we wanted. So we wanted accessible, clean, safe, etc. And France removed the term safe because that applies, well, not only to fracking and other type of energy, but also to nuclear. It's not safe. We all know nuclear is not safe. And so France has been championing the nuclear agenda. But then the civil society pushed the prime minister and the Japanese government to host the G7 summit, the government's the official meeting, in Hiroshima, at the center of the nuclear impact. And so
Oh, it's such a statement, eh?
it's amazing. And so when we met with the prime minister, it was a person who lived the experience of in Hiroshima. He was an old man now who came to give his testimony to the prime minister to say why nuclear is such a negative issue, and why the economic transition with the energy transition needed to happen also with social consideration and against nuclear agendas. And the prime minister said, well, yeah, this is why this is going to be the main point that the Japanese government is going to be among another, but this, is like, we're responding to you. So after the meeting in Tokyo, I had to come back, sadly, to New York for the FFG forum. But people went and mobilized in Hiroshima, and they had like a couple of, I think 3 or 4 days of mobilization in Hiroshima before
Oh
the.
my God.
So it was super powerful. It was amazing. So hats off to the Japanese social movements that are really, making a stand, pushing, and they did achieve a big transformation because now Japan and France are colliding in very strong positions against nuclear,
Oh,
and at least it's holding off the fort, like holding the position there. So I think it was remarkable. It was really inspiring to see.
wow. Amazing. Amazing. So that happened during the C7.
C7.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
beginning of April. It was super inspiring because, and yeah, I have to say, I was surprised. I was really pleasantly surprised. And another thing is that the Pride 7 also started, so the LGBTI groups are also starting to engage. And I was making an invitation to them to become more radical, to, again, LGBTI groups in the global north need becomes to become more radical and to support structural transformation.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice dialogue that we had between those of us from the C7 and those of the Pride 7. So I think there are many things that are changing positively. I think it's really important that also in this year, the Japanese civil society was leading the Pride 7. So for them, culturally, they're also fighting a very restrictive society. So it's great. So I was inviting them. I mean, please don't only fight for inclusion, fight for, all of the radical disruption of the system. But it was
Yeah.
a really nice conversation because, of course, we stand in solidarity with their struggle. So it was
Yeah.
like a good first point of entry on how we can really expand the demands of the C7. So it has been really interesting.
Mm. How many were there? I mean, like in the C7 discussion,
I
the
think
civil society who attended, remember?
there were like 200 or 250 people. It was a lot. And I really love seeing many young people who were coming from universities and stuff and taking advantage of these forums so that they would mingle and engage with us. So it was really nice to see
Mm,
young
mm,
people trying to understand what are all of these conversations happening, right?
mm, mm. No, I also wonder what other issue that the civil society felt important. I just want to check with you whether that one of it is maybe on the issue of digitalization, and then I don't know whether that they raised that because I know some of the Japanese group from the civil society also very much focal on the issue of digitalization and platform workers. Yeah, the workers and everything, the Grab, the Uber, So it was it there also the issue of digitalization came out?
Not so much,
Mm,
but
okay.
on the ground, I mean,
Mm,
we had our position paper from the economic justice group, environmental justice. There is a group on humanitarian that was indeed more focused on larger peace and security issues, but also discussing a bit of the issue of Ukraine and stuff. So there were
I see.
several, but
Yeah.
also people came from the Pacific region to discuss two things that were also super powerful. One is the deep sea mining agenda, and now this current conversation about, again, on the energy transition and the need for rare minerals. There is a very ambitious push for deep sea mining to extract rare minerals from the ocean and also in the shores. So Pacific feminists were there to explain the people why was this such a very negative situation, to make a balance about what is the role, what could be the role of G7 countries in pushing against it. And you see there are conflicting positions. Some of the islands say, well, this is our way to get private investment and stuff and to diversify our economies. And so they're in favor of opening their frontiers to deep sea mining. And others are saying, no, this is going to deplete our biodiversity. So they're strongly positioning against it. So it's a debate. And globally, again, there are wealthy countries that are saying no to deep sea mining and others that are pushing it very aggressively. So this was a conversation that we held in the session. And the other issue was of course, the Japanese nuclear waste into waters in the Pacific Ocean. And so that was also a very strong demand that people had. I understand it's a discussion that China is also having with Japan. And Japan is saying, no, these are treated water, this is treated waste already, so it's safe to discharge it in the Pacific Ocean for the Pacific Islands. And of course it's not. So it's disgusting. So it's an ongoing debate, but at least I'm super glad that I heard that in the regional sustainable development regional meeting in Asia Pacific, China and Japan were confronted about this same issue. So it's good that it's out in the open and the countries are voicing this, that Japan cannot, just because they're wealthy, they just can do whatever they want. So it's I think it's interesting that all of these issues that even for me were not so clear at the beginning, now they're gaining so much relevance because the world is shifting so fast, and all of these conversations are a matter of life and death. And are you going to destroy an entire ecosystem, an entire region, or what are the measures that are we going to promote towards the energy transition? So deep sea mining, nuclear are just some points of entry of the bigger conversation.
That's yeah, and then I also think that it's actually very good that you managed to actually make a direct advocacy to the prime minister. Like I'm just comparing with the C20 and
Oh yeah.
G20. Like is yeah, this kind of spaces, it's like, for instance, like sometimes I don't know which one that is only ticking the box kind of thing, right? For the government to kind of facilitate and support and etc. But and then which one that can be meaningful, because I'm quite pessimistic on that. But I think that the good thing is, if we actually have strong people in this kind of spaces, right, that is actually good, because we can try to push things for to happen and etc etc. But yeah, during that time in Indonesia, I don't think that it's more like ticking the box. We don't even get to meet. There's a very junior level kind of government official. We receive like the document coming from the C20, and then that's it, right? And then what is the follow up on that? So yeah.
So
I'm
but you did meet with the Sherpa.
Yeah, we met couple of times with the Sherpa, because like there's a series of meetings happen, right? Like it's not only during that time around October, but there was already like starting from May. I think that there are several meetings already happening, but it only can be attended by those who are in Indonesia. For instance, it's very difficult for those outside of Indonesia. Now the G20 is now in India. Let's see.
Yes.
What is it
Yes,
look
I
like?
heard all sorts of things about India. Just to explain the people in the audience, the Sherpas, the presidency rotates in each country, in the G7 and in the G20. So the Sherpas are the focal point of that country, which is usually a high-ranking member, sometimes the Minister of Finance or whatever, like a very high-profile politician who's handling the negotiation and the process and investing with all of the actors. So that's the Sherpa. And there's also the sous Sherpa, who's like in the supporting in the process. So yeah, it depends who you get to meet. And I actually also met with when a person with the Minister of Finance. It was also a high ranking person, so we met with him and we also gave our demands. So I think also for me the most important thing, because all of these are illegitimate spaces of power. Let's go back to
Mm,
that.
yeah.
So it's about
Let's be
confronting.
clear on that. Yeah.
Yes, it's about confronting them. and telling them you shouldn't even exist. Like, let's go back to the UN.
Yeah.
But once
Yeah.
you're there, I think it's also very important to me that it's opening the door for many other civil society social movements people. Like, you can, there's only so much engagement in the United Nations, and then this opens up the door. In this case, for me, for the anti-nuclear movement in Japan, that is very localized, but it's with very real effects. And so engaging with them is very valuable because you get to expand, the solidarity discussion, and also the to radicalize them, and they radicalize you in more ways. So it's, I think it's a really nice conversation, despite
Mm,
the points of entry of those illegitimate discussions.
mm. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
and then let me tell you, we went to New York for the FFD forum.
Straight
Well,
from straight from Japan. You went to New York.
Japan to New York. And everybody, I was really sad because I was there for the C7 meeting, the official sessions, prime minister, whatever. And then everybody went to Hiroshima on a train, to meet with the social movements. And I had to take a plane back to New York, which was
Oh
really
no.
disappointing.
Oh no.
Strategy meetings and stuff, which was fine. Last year, we had around 15 people engaging in FFD Forum. This year was 70. So it's like a major, major interest.
Seven
It's
zero.
seven zero.
Last time what? 50 or
One
15?
five. 1-5.
Wow. Oh, so more and more, people think this is an important space to be
Yeah,
to
especially
influence.
because
Yeah.
there was this announcement that there's going to be an FFD conference in 2025. So I think people is just riling up their energies and getting acquainted with the space, and getting to know what is going to happen. So it was interesting. But let me show you the star of the show. Let me see. No, there it is. It's the F. Oh, wait. There it is. The FFD Chronicle. Did is it's it launched. So it's like a newsletter that we launched, 2 pages, and it has memes and stuff. So we're featuring our main positions, and we're also reporting on what happened each day in the forum, and we're mocking the IMF or the World Bank or the private sector, whatever. So we have memes that are very funny, and we also, this was the last how do you call it, issue. This is the issue 4, and the article in this is called "The Summit with No Future." So we're criticizing OCA, our common agenda, and the Summit of the Future of Guterres. So we called it "The Summit with No Future." This was an article that is spelling out very clearly why we're against the Summit of the Future. And there is this meme. Let me see if you can see it. It's the little girl, Uh, uh, can you see it? No, let me see if I can. No. Oh, there it is. It's the the meme of the girl. Okay, no, forget it. But it's the meme of the house burning on the back and the girl that's showing up in the face. So in the fire it says "our planet," and then the girl just looking at the camera, and it says "the Secretary General calling for a summit of the future." Like, the planet is on fire and the SG is calling for a summit of the future. So we had a lot of fun, and we had brilliant people making memes. So it was hilarious.
So this is daily. I can
This is
imagine
daily.
it must be a lot of production also, right? Like
It's a
making
lot of
the
work. And we have a very small editorial team. uh, we all joined. I mean, many of us volunteered to be there. So every night and every morning, we were struggling to read all of the articles, sometimes writing the articles, editing and trying to get pictures. And, it was the layout. It was a lot of work, but it paid off really well in the end. By the third day, we were handing it out to all of the delegates, and everybody was having a copy of their FFD Chronicle. And
Chronicle.
yes, in the United Nations, everybody in their seats with the Chronicle. And there was one meeting that some of our colleagues had with the EU delegates, and one of the delegates opened the folder, and she had the 3 issues of the FFD Chronicles in her bag. So it's like everybody has to read the FFD Chronicles. And I think this is great because we're really pushing against the positions of the developed countries, of the private finance first and stuff. So and with a lot of fun. All of the articles are really funny. So we're really trying. So there's one, for instance, in this issue, it's
Uh-huh.
tax training for the IMF. So our colleagues are doing a tax training to the IMF, explaining how taxes work. It's hilarious. Yeah, but if people is interested in having access to these issues, they're in the FFD. Um, how is it called now?
I'm already in the website already. Like this is the FFD mechanism website, the CSO.
Website, coordination
Yeah,
mechanism website. So
yeah.
please,
You just
people,
need.
go to that website and have access to the FFD Chronicle. So we're thinking the Chronicle should be published periodically, even without the forum. So just to keep an update on people. And that will also help us build the momentum, towards the other related agendas, such as the discussion on the tax convention that is going to be happening on the second semester of the year, as well as the decisions about the modalities of the FFD conference are expected to kind of start to happen this year. And also there's going to be a summit on sustainable finance during the General Assembly. So we're expecting in all of these moments to have another issue of the FFD Chronicle, which are fantastic.
Amazing. And then I'm getting dragged into this, Amelia, what you have done to me. I'm looking at it and start to obsess.
We're gonna be judging
No,
the
I'm looking at the memes. The first thing I read is the memes, like there's this meme, the first issue. Yeah, there is like FFD4 and then what? Summit of the Future.
the
Like
tracks.
the road. Oh my God. This is hilarious and amazing.
I
Right.
told
And
you.
yeah, and I think that we need to have more of this kind of thing.
Yeah, right. We need to laugh.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very amazing. What is it?
Yes. So
It was
people
open.
join us also on Twitter. I mean, I know sometimes you're in Facebook, sometimes you're in YouTube. If you're in Twitter, please also join us. You will find the links there for the FFD Chronicles. And also let us know what you think. I know Rina is now gonna join the editorial committee of the FFD Chronicles.
We should have, see, this is what happened when you intrigue me so much. We should have the unquotable quotes here, one section on
Now
unquotable
I need to
quotes.
revive the unquotable quote. It's so hard. It's just that I'm
Yeah,
not,
it's
not a very good Twitter person, but I should revive it. And then you know what happened? I fell sick. I had a very bad cold last
during that.
days, and then came back to Mexico, and I was ill for a week in a bed. And then I went to South Africa for a
Yes, I
very
know. You just
important
came back
meeting
right now, no?
of the Economic and Justice Rights Action Coalition. This is the UN Women process that led to the implementation of the highest ambition for Beijing plus 25. And so this was the first in-person meeting of the Action Coalition, the leaders of the Action Coalition. It's composed of 5 countries: Germany, Spain, Sweden, Mexico, and South Africa. South Africa was the host. It has civil society, ITUC, CARE, FEMNET, the Women's Working Group on Financing for Development, and the WIRO Commission. It has also philanthropy, which is the Gates Foundation. It has private sector, which is PayPal. It has, like it's like I can't remember the name of it, but we have also the OECD, like a block of an economic group, the OECD. And we have, besides that, it's being led by young women in the secretariat. We also have the United Nations Fund for, I can't remember its name. It's like some sort of fund for micro lending, etc. It's like I can't remember. I will
Microfinance,
get
what?
back to you on this.
Mm,
UNCDF or something like that.
mm.
But so we met, and remember, I don't know if people know, but all of the blueprints in all of the action coalitions, the blueprints are like the path that the agenda is going to be implemented. So all of the action coalition, the SRHR, sexual and reproductive health and rights, the one on feminist mobilization, the one on feminist climate action, the one on, I think, the peace and security. I'm not sure if peace and security also has blueprints. One on against gender-based violence, etc. So each and every one of them have blueprints, like a path to guide the implementation. And the only blueprint that hasn't been finished is the one on macroeconomy. So it's been 2 years and a half. All of the blueprints are there. Even the SRHR blueprint on that includes the term abortion is there, because there has been a willingness to achieve a feminist agenda. But we have run into a couple of problems with the blueprint on macroeconomy. And
So
so
contentious, eh?
you can
And then,
understand why, with
yeah.
the just by naming all of the actors that are there is just no common floor, like we are super radical, and we want, there was a proposal by a colleague of FEMMET in that meeting that was proposing dismantling the financial architecture. And in the it's like, yes, Sonia. It's very difficult to agree on that one with all of these actors present.
So,
But
what is the process to actually, discuss this blueprint? Is it like online meetings or they have a
yeah,
document to
so
do?
far because of the pandemic, it has been
Mm,
online. But
mm.
now this was the first in-person meeting, so it has been really hard, really, to get to a common ground. And for us as Women's Working Group on Financing for Development and the other civil society organizations, it's really important to have an agenda that is very radical, like to set the path. So we haven't caved in on anything. We say this is not CSW, so we don't need to negotiate down to the lowest common denominator. If this is generation equality with a feminist leadership, it has to be recognized that the feminists are dreaming beyond what a specific country can say at a given moment. We are giving, like a vision, like an aspirational agenda. So it was really good, because somehow you will see later in a couple of months, I hope, some more than a couple of months, but we managed to achieve some common ground on the structure, so that each and everyone gets to, lay our vision without one undermining the other. Rather, without one trying to delete or to annul what the other one is saying. So this was a
Wow.
huge
Achievement.
huge breakthrough. And so now we are very hopeful that by the midterm, by the midpoint, people will see a blueprint regarding macro solutions for women, people, and the planet. So that was like the thing that I bring from South Africa with me, aside from seeing all of the amazing Pan African feminists, South African feminists there, which was also super powerful.
How? So you were saying there are. Okay, so y- how many were there in the working group again? You said. So is it a small meeting or a big meeting?
It was a meeting of all of the leaders, but
Mm.
each leader got to bring two members. And there
I
was a
see.
lot of, I mean, members from the government of South Africa that came, and also UN Women in the region. And we had also the coordinator of the UN Women on economic empowerment at the global level. So we had a confluence of many actors. It was also really good to hear on the broader issue, the accountability
Mm.
um, process for the Action Coalition, which is a mess. Yeah, sorry, young women. I need to say it's a mess. It is a mess. I mean, people is asking, where is the money? Is there any money? Are we gonna get any money? Do you have the money? Who has the money? Is there not any money? What happens? And after 2 years, we have many presentations, and it's not clear yet what is happening there. So it's kind of a tricky issue. But I
Mm.
think in the end, the most important thing was we got a statistics that said that 80% of the people who committed to do something on their Action Generation Equality, the Action Coalitions, are civil society and feminist organizations. 80%, and of course, those are on the ground with doing unpaid work. So it's like if UN Women really wants to keep all of these groups reporting and delivering, they need to support them financially. It's not about the goodwill of people, right? There is the feminist organization are really struggling. So yeah, yeah, that's a topic for another conversation.
Wow. Okay. So it's already like March, April, and May. It's only 3 months, but we discussed a lot of things.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of like for instance, what's next for you? Like for me, like I think that I just want to also share. Of course that there will be a HLPF in July and etc. But I don't know. I think nowadays I'm more really in the stage where I actually want to learn more, right? So there is this. We're going to actually have a convening on the issue of debt crisis, a
Mhm.
regional convening, and then we're going to do it in Sri Lanka.
Nice. I want to
Yes.
go.
I will try to find a way that you can go. But that's really really important because I think that in Sri Lanka even the movement really needs support, especially our member coming from the feminist group. They said
Yeah.
that we need a feminist backup, like we need we need a backup from a feminist voice outside of the Sri Lanka. So we need
Especially
some.
centered
Yeah.
Sri Lanka in this moment of crisis.
Exactly, right? And then they said that it's very important because we really want to learn from the other countries or other region about the issue of debt. We want to understand about what is the implication of taking the IMF loan and the conditionalities and etc. So that's
Yeah.
what we are planning to do. We're planning to go there. So we will have a regional consultation together, not only for the member, but everyone working on the issue of debt crisis,
Love
right?
it.
Yes, debt justice, and then after that we will have a national consultation. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Something that we can concretely build together, build a message together, build strategy together, right? And then campaign together. So, yeah.
That's really nice. And let me tell you, I think in a
Mm.
couple of weeks we will launch. We organize this cabaret Zoom play, which is like in the format of political cabaret, a play that is explaining debt from a feminist and decolonial point of view to regular audiences. So we had that in Mexico and in Latin America. It's in Spanish, but that was organized together with Equidad de Género, Latin Dad, and Eurodad. and now we're getting the subtitles in English. So we will launch the version with the subtitles in English, I think in next week or 2 weeks from now. So it will be also available in YouTube, and it's hilarious. And the artists are amazing, and they even wrote original songs for the play, and so the material can also be used for sharing and social.
Oh my God.
And the songs are so good, and it addresses the debt on different levels, from the personal level to the collective, the community, vulture funds, IMF, global south versus south, the environmental dimension, everything. And it's so funny. Everything is made, yeah, in this political cabaret tone. So we will share the link here, and maybe that's also some materials that you can use in your, or some segments of it,
Definitely.
meeting.
Definitely. Definitely.
And
And
we should
whose
actually
idea
share
is
those
this? Is
songs.
that your idea, Amelia? It sounds so familiar. Is that your idea, Amelia?
It's my idea.
That's
But we
amazing.
made it happen. So no,
Yeah.
yes, Latin that and Euro were amazing in briefing. And Denise here, hi Denise. She was also great in following up with the activists. So it was fantastic. So yeah, we will share this later on. But I agree. So many things to learn, right? This I agree with you. We need to really start thinking about expanding our analysis, expanding our views onto how really address these situations, because evidently the formal points of entry are not working.
Yeah. Exactly. Expanding our analysis, sharpening it, radicalize it. That's how we are going to do our meetings and learning exchange. And then also building strategy. I think that, like, maybe if the previous strategy doesn't work, what will work, right? So I think it's very, very important. And then especially in this time of, you know like, I think there's so many things happening now in the world, and then also different kind of, yeah, we need to actually expand our analysis on in different issues. We also try to do so for the convening on militarism that we are going to do now. So,
Wow.
uh, yes, yes, yes. So
When
really look into that is going to be in August. So
nice.
yeah, you can see my that will be in August, everybody. And then of course that we're going to share with all of you about what is actually what came up from these convenings and meetings, and then some new knowledge that we put together, yeah, as actually feminist analysis on that. So yeah, that will happen in August. We are already in the process of preparing it together, and then yeah, we are happy. We are hoping that we can collaborate with more feminist group that working on the issue of militarism. And then we've already said yes to become part of us, the committee that we're going to
The
have.
mighty, mighty wealth.
Yes. I know, right? Yeah. Can you imagine if that is here, and then I cannot believe that 1 hour is almost 1 hour. And I felt that I
Yes.
still have a lot of things to share and then ask you about.
We've been very bad in keeping up our sessions, but it's been hard. It's been a lot, but
Right.
hopefully we will
Yeah.
be. Let's try to make it in a couple of weeks and bring in Tetet. But also, no, but yes, let's make it a couple of weeks, because I will be seeing Tetet in a meeting, in an assembly in Germany of social movements. So let's try to make it happen, Rina.
That's
We
right.
can
That's
make
right.
a
Make it
special
happen. The three of us. The three of us.
the
Yeah. It
three of
has
us
to be the three of
personally.
us.
Yeah.
Are you going to
Okay.
be in Bonn for the SB 58? Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. For
That's
the
good to
climate change negotiations. Okay,
know.
people, our time is up, my darling. So lovely to see you. Thank you
Thank you,
for letting me
everyone.
and
Yeah. See you again.
don't miss the FFD Chronicles